Tonight, brought to you live on Var Nation, by Var Nation, for Var Nation, with our affiliate station. It's DCU Tonight. I'm Rock Var, your host, here on the couch with the Politicant, live from our living room to yours. And we have tons to talk about tonight. Huge week in DCU and DCUO. I'll bet if you watch every one of these, it's like, it was a huge week. It's a huge night. It has been. It's been a huge world for DC as of late. And DC TV has just recently come from a trip cross-country where I have witnessed the enlightenment of what DC Comics has done for this great nation. I've seen it on the faces of people, the people, that have looked at me, looked into my eyes, into my soul, and we share a bond, the bond of DC Comics. It's strong. I spread the word when I can. I do what I can for society. I ask that you all do the same. And again, thank you for joining us. This is our probably bi-weekly show that we have dedicated to DC Comics, DC Universe Online, the MMO that we play, love, live. And we dedicate these 2 shows a week to talking about what's going on in DC TV, bringing you all the news that we can directly from the pages of DC Comics, and going over the pull list for DC Comics. And I think that's all we do, really. So I've just summed up the show now. You know what to expect forever. It will never change. It may change, but it won't change often. But if it changes often, it won't change much. Write that down. So we have some big news in DCUO this week coming. We have not received it yet. You can expect a lot of... YouTube's going to blow up in like 2 days, a day and a half. I'm going to say in a day and a half, every YouTuber that has a login is going to be doing DCUO videos, because we have yet another episode launching. It will not launch this week, but the reveal is this week. So we're going to get some major information about what's to come, and that's coming our way this Wednesday. So if you're new to the show, or if this is your first time watching it, we do spend the first part talking about DC Universe Online. It is a free-to-play MMO. I'm playing it right now. So if you just happen to be cruising through the titles and you saw DC TV and you thought you'd step in, see what's going on, this is DC Universe Online that we're playing right now. And this is everything you see before you could be your own if you played the game. So it sells itself. It is complex, but it's not complex. But it does sell itself. So no sales necessary. But this Wednesday, they will kick off, and you can watch this live on the official DCUO Twitch channel. And if you go to DC Universe Online, to the forum section and announcements, they will have a link there directly to the DCUO Twitch channel. And they're going to be doing this live this Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So that's Wednesday, April 27th at noon Pacific. And I'm going to read you directly from the forums. It says, join us Wednesday for a live look at episode 24 as we kick off a new cycle of monthly episodes. The team will be on hand with details about upcoming content, styles, base items, and more. The live stream begins at 12 p.m. this Wednesday, April 27th. And again, you can watch the forums. If you don't get to watch the live stream, if you just can't be there, and if you're wondering how, I have a life, I'm not sitting at home on my computer, how can I possibly watch this stream? Well, I'll tell you, simply download the Twitch app to your iPhone or Android device with Apple. So you can download it from the App Store, and there you can go follow DCUO, set yourself up with them to get get alerts, And as soon as they go live, you'll get an alert directly to your phone. You can pick it up and watch it wherever you are, except driving. We're going to put that out there right now because I don't want to, I don't want you to say, I heard Rockvar say you should definitely watch this no matter where you are, and then that causes you to start a horrible accident, a 275-person collision. Do not text and drive. If you're going to watch something like, you could listen to it though, right? Lyda says yes, so that's on her. We can listen to it while we're driving, but do not watch it. My suggestion for watching the stream when they do the live stream on Wednesday is to get yourself a buddy that day and just take your buddy with you wherever you have to go. You may pay them, you may not pay them. I don't know. That's up to you and your buddy. You guys figure it out. But take your buddy with you. Your buddy can watch. You can listen while you're driving. Your buddy can watch, and then they'll fill you in later. I'm going to do you one even better. I'm going to be your buddy. That sounds awkward. But I am going to be your buddy because I'm going to watch the live stream. I'm going to take notes, and then we're going to do a video about it. So we'll talk about what's coming. You can stay tuned to Var Nation for that. No need to pay a buddy. You have us. Lyda's my buddy because if I can't watch it, she's going to. But we're both going to watch it. It shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, this Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific. They are like several hours behind us. We are Eastern time. We'll figure all that out. You figure it out. You have an iPhone. Or maybe you have something like that. We do. So I will... I don't even try to do the math anymore when it comes to time zones. I realized this while I was on my trip. I just go to the phone and look and pick a city, and then it tells me what time it is there. So math really is worthless. If you're in school now, I suggest you tell your math teacher to shove it. No, you can't do that. Lyda tells me no. But you can tell them that Rockvar said that because I'm 36 years old, ladies and gentlemen, and I yet to need math. I don't need it.
You just asked me. Whatever.
Yeah, I married up. So I have a wife that does math for me. She paid attention in school so that I don't have to. And that's how you do it. But anyway, moving on. That's DC Universe Online news for the show. DCUO, they've done wonders in the past week. I've been gone, so I have not been able to play the game for about a week now. DC Universe Online has done wonders with getting things back on track, running correctly. I come back, I log in. I'm not waiting to get in like I was the week before. The game's not crashing every 10 to 15 minutes like it was before. Whatever they had to line out, I believe they have lined it out. And Lyda can't vouch for them because she didn't get to play either. So we have really we really have nothing to go on as far as knowing what happened last week. But we came back to a fixed game. So it seems like they've gotten over the rough patch. And I did notice that obviously we've been talking about on our streams the past couple of days that the loot system is working much better, especially when you're a higher combat rating player going into lower combat rating missions. I was searching for content, I didn't find it, but missions. So I've been leveling several alts in the past couple of days. I spent all weekend working on alts, and it's been great fun. I love going back and playing the lower tier content, and doing it at tier has been fun. And I realize now, my first time through, a lot of my issue was skill points, because now when I'm going back with some of my alts, I have one that I just gave a decent amount of skill points to, and he seems to just be walking through content now. So So lesson to those out there who might be starting the game, skill points are going to be a thing again, and it's going to make a difference when you're going through content. But my point being that Lyda was going through a lot of that stuff with me, and she doesn't necessarily like to play her alts that often, so she likes to go through as Hippolyta Kent, and so now we've got a 162 going through the content with me, and we were very, very happy to see that Marks of Victory were an option in her group loot. So it definitely helped because, she's trying. The issue becomes that you've got a higher tier play to help a friend, or you're going to get feats or something like that, but at the same time you're trying to level your tune, or not level anymore, but you're trying to get that next gear, trying to get marks for that, and you don't feel like you're progressing if you're not getting those marks to help go towards your higher level gear. And now they've fixed that. So she got quite a few marks going through that lower level content. So it was cool. I think you got a ring, right? Mm-hmm. And something else, like you got 2 pieces. Just by helping me, and I was doing tier 1 through 5 basically. I don't think I ever got up to tier 5. I'm about there now. But so if that is of interest to you, your wish is our command. Not really. We had a comment earlier and we didn't have any viewers, so that was kind of cool. Someone who wasn't viewing was able to go. They're just like, I don't know, that you can't go by that thing when you're talking about view. It's shown like 5 up there before, and then I get off the feed and there was 20 or whatnot. But anyway, so that is the DCUO news for now. DCUO, of course, is a free-to-play MMO. They are getting ready to announce new content this week, and you can learn more about them at dcuniverseonline.com or download them for free from the PlayStation 4 store. Coming to Xbox, that's the other thing that I didn't say. The Xbox announcement was made. The trailer is out there. It is phenomenal. I haven't sent it to my friends who play Xbox yet because I'm lazy, but I'm doing it because I'm so happy that they will be able to play the game. We may not be able to be on the same server. In fact, we know we're not, but I'm still happy that they get to play this wonderful game. So, and I want their children to play it. In fact, I'm going to make it a necessary thing. I think it needs to be necessary in everyone's life. But moving on to another week in DC TV, we'd had 2 weeks, basically. Was it 2 weeks? It felt like 2 weeks. It may have only been a week where we didn't get any DC TV, or we got 1 show, 2 shows. Last week was pretty much a full agenda. We did not have Arrow, so we're, still Arrowless. We're still left in shock at what happened. I don't know if that was the season finale or what, but I'm still in shock, utter shock about what happened in Arrow. And if anyone doesn't know at this point, I don't know how, but Laurel has died. Laurel, we'll just start out with that. Laurel is dead. She appears to have been the gravestone that we had been wondering who was in the grave. It appears to have been Laurel. We still have no idea where they're going with that story. I'm assuming she's not going to be dead. No word. The Arrow camp is quiet. Someone's out there like, no, they've already said. You're an idiot. I just haven't read that news yet. So, but anyway, as we move to DC TV, we always, well, we don't always, but we typically, when we're talking about the DC TV portion of the show, we also talk about DC Comics via the website, dccomics.com, because typically there's some cool stuff going on there, and there is definitely some cool stuff going on there this week. In fact, what's going on right now is quite possibly one of the most awesome sweepstakes I may have ever seen on this website or anywhere in the universe, the multiverse. And I think you would agree. I think you will agree. Now I'm going to read to you the DC Earth 1 sweepstakes brought to you by DC Comics. This has actually been up on their website since Thursday, April 7th. You've only got a couple more days to enter this. So this sweepstakes that I'm about to go into great detail on is ending on the 27th. Today is the 25th. So you've got very limited time. In fact, anyone who was watching this stream just quit watching it to go to dccomics.com. You can enter for a chance to be the grand prize winner in this sweepstakes and receive one copy of each of these hardcover graphic novels. Are you ready? Because this is a ridiculous amount of stuff. Batman, Earth 1, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Superman, Earth 1, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Teen Titans, Volume 1, and the all-new Wonder Woman, Earth 1, Volume 1. So everything you need to know about Earth 1, basically the entire Earth 1 collection in one sweepstakes, and the only thing you have to do to win this is go to dccomics.com, click on the link that's on the home page, and put in your information, submit it, and that's it. You get one submission per person, so it doesn't help you to go and submit your name a half a dozen or times or whatnot, and it says that right in the rules. I highly encourage you to read the rules. I'm not going to read them to you because, it's real small print. So you can read it for yourself, but I highly suggest you get over there and take advantage of that. Batman Earth 1 Volume 1 and 2, Superman Earth 1 Volume 1, 2, and 3, Teen Titans Volume 1, and the all-new Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 1. So I'm going to submit that, for us at some point here. But I wanted to get that out of the way. So we'll start out this week by talking about, I guess, Supergirl, even though there are no DC TV secrets for Supergirl. This week, for the first time in several shows, we have one for Gotham, and a really good one for Gotham. So we're going to go into great detail on that. But this week on Supergirl, it was the season finale, and I don't know yet if they've announced that the show's coming back for next season. I've not seen that anywhere. I hoped that it would be announced, the day of the finale. In fact, the day of the season finale, it had not yet been announced. And there were things on the web saying, wouldn't it be awesome if they announced it the day of the finale? But I don't like Smallville, for example. The ratings were really, really high and stayed that way for the first couple of seasons. I don't know if I know the ratings were high for the first couple episodes, but
it's really weird because they've talked about what to expect for the second season.
Well, they did, didn't they? They talked about what to expect for the second season. So maybe it has, and I'm just, I'm worrying about nothing, and that would be awesome. So I don't see how they can't renew it, to be honest with you. It's, in my opinion, one of the best shows on television right now. So there you go. But yeah, Bodie agrees. So there were a few key points to this week's episodes. We saw the resolution to basically the Kryptonian mind control issue. Hope was the key for whatever reason, and they explained it in detail in the episode. Making someone feel hope overrides the effect on the brain. So hope was the key, and they ended up basically defeating or setting everyone free by putting Kara on every television, and she's full of hope. She's a very young, hopeful person, and she was able to not only save everyone with her hope, but also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lyda, we had Jimmy and Kara lip lockage. Jimmy and Kara were making out. That's awkward. Jimmy seems a lot older than her.
Mm-mm.
Really? You think they're close to the same age?
I would say they're at least 5 years or 6 years.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Jimmy seems like he's much older than her. Him and Lucy seem like they're like middle-aged or something to me. I don't know. They already live in a subdivision, and Kara's like just barely out of her mom's house. So, I don't know. It's weird.
We live like that.
We're not talking about that. So anyway, Kara and Kara, it makes me feel like I have a southern accent when I say Kara. Kara and Kara Kara. Kara and Jimmy, they're making out. So that's a thing now. You know, because there's not enough making out on television. Apparently, there can never be enough teens making out on television. But they're not teens. They're not even playing teens, are they? They're playing like young adults.
She can drink beer.
She can, well, yeah, she can drink beer. She's a Kryptonian. It doesn't affect her.
Well, I mean,
She can drink her weight in alcohol and someone else's weight too. Probably like a big, huge shipment of ship liquor. So another big point in Supergirl this week that deserves us to speak about. Clark thanking Kara for her help. Basically sends her a text and says, you know, thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. In fact, there's absolutely no way it could have been done without you. And he does what Clark does. You know, she tries to kind of play it off and be like, oh, you know, whatever. And he's like, no, I couldn't have handled it better myself, or, you know, something along those lines. So Clark's always building the ego. He'd be a great older cousin, especially since she was sent to, you know, protect him, and then here she gets to finally, because, you know, that was kind of the whole thing. Was, you know, when she came here, I would assume that she would feel kind of like she doesn't have much purpose, because her purpose was to protect Clark, and now he's an adult, he's Superman, he doesn't need saving, so what is she left to do? Now she gets to save the Man of Steel. But it would never have happened. So Clark would have already had resolved the problem before anyone else even knew there was one. And that would have been... Because here's the thing. They made up the whole thing about he had lived on Earth for so long, and that's why he was able to, or it was able to work on him. So what does that mean? Like Earth like decays Kryptonians' brains? Like he's just kind of a duh-duh now because he's been living amongst us duh-duhs? Is that what they're trying to say? Like, I don't know. I don't understand how that would have happened.
Works like ours, I guess.
His mind works like ours. Well, man, I feel sorry for him now. I don't know. But, you know, I didn't really get that part of it. But that's cool. Indigo's out, so I'm sure that she's not done. It appears that she is, but she can't be gone. I mean, she's like Brainiac, so if there's a sliver of her left, she'll probably reconstitute herself. So that, not quite as shocking as the battle between Non and Kara that was going on. Kara that was going on. Because, you know, it's kind of funny, and we've seen this happen. We have not seen this happen, really. We haven't seen it play out this way, but we've seen it get close to playing out this way. Every time there's a heat vision against heat vision, or laser vision against laser vision, whatever you personally want to call it, we never really see how it ends. You know what I mean? It's like they push one way, then they push the other way, they kind of get stuck in the middle, and then something explodes, and everybody falls down or whatever. We don't really see the aftermath of what happens in that battle. Supergirl has shown us for the first time what that aftermath looks like, and it is gruesome. I am in shock. I am shocked. Because it ends with Non with holes in his eyeball where his eyeballs used to be. So, basically, Kara wins that battle, but it ends with the hollowing out of Non's head. I don't know if that's actually what happened. They showed us Non laying on the ground, and I don't know if you know, anyone else saw anything different, but he was just kind of charred, and that could lead to maybe his eyes will heal. Doesn't really look like there was anything left of them to heal. Maybe his eyes will heal, but there will be some like leftover brain damage, and that's how we'll get the Non that we kind of know from the movies and stuff. I don't know. Maybe we just saw a different creation of Non as we know him. We'll have to see. because I really always find it hard to believe that a Kryptonian's dead, whether it be Superman or any other Kryptonian, because somehow they always come back. They always come back. You know, not always, but for the most part. And that's why I wasn't down with what happened. Well, it's not that I wasn't down with it, but that's why it was a little bit hard for me to wrap my head around what happened in Man of Steel with Doomsday, because I didn't really think Zod was going to be dead. I really kind of hoped he wasn't going to be. How many times is Superman, well, I guess we're going to find that out, aren't we? So I don't know if they would not have messed with Zod's DNA. Would he have become Doomsday? Or would he have just come back eventually? I don't know. And then we end the episode with a spaceship crashing on Earth. Looks very Kryptonian, but we don't get to find out who's in it. And Kara opens up the lid on the thing, right? And she acts like she knows. It looks as though she knows. She recognized. I was like, man, who could it possibly be? And then I realized it was Var. She recognized me. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait till next season to find out who in the heck it is. I guess if you have an idea, or if you think you know, leave it in the comments of this video once it's up. Do you have any guesses, Lida?
Thera or Mon-El?
Mon-El?
I don't know.
It could be Mon-El.
It may not be.
I don't know. If it could be Thera, I guess, but she wouldn't be born yet. Which Thera? The one that's my mom, or the other one? Oh,
because remember, at least in the Supergirl animated movie.
Yeah, they were friends.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. And well, it's going to be a while before we do. Oh, it could be Power Girl. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. It could be Karen Starr. I don't know. We'll find out. But that is, I didn't see any DC TV secrets for Supergirl on DCComics.com. Or did I? No, we go from that to Flash. So we'll skip on over to Gotham. Gotham, very eventful. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time talking about it because I've spent a huge amount of time talking about Supergirl and I have little to no information for it. We're trying to get to the Flash because that's where eyeballs popped out of sockets this week. So we'll just say that right now. The DC TV pick of the week for DCU Tonight is Flash. But anyway, Gotham was awesome. And, the main enjoyment that I'm getting out of that show, this episode in particular, is Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange is the man, quite frankly, in every way. It looks as though he may have pulled the strings on, in fact, the Wayne murder. It looks like he may be pulling the strings on a lot of things going on in Gotham. Namely, experimenting on people, creating girls with reptilian hands, Total Recall, and it was almost exactly like the hand on Total Recall too. But so he's trying to make people better. He's trying to do experiments on people. Like this girl, she lost her arm, right, or something, and so they replaced it, and then eventually it became grotesque and mutant-like or whatever, reptilian. But yeah, he's got these Lex Luthor type experiments going on, and I didn't really, I know Hugo Strange from the newer version, from the comics kinda that have come out in the past 15 years. I did not realize that he was the first Batman villain, that he was in fact before the Joker and before Catwoman by like 3 months in the original comics. So I didn't find that out until we watched this episode, and I continue each week to be more and more taken in by Hugo and Doctor Strange, which is an entirely different character, isn't it? Isn't there? Oh, anyway. But my point being that have become infatuated with this character, and the gentleman who plays him is doing such a phenomenal job captivating the essence of him that I started looking up just to find out any kind of information that I could, and found that little tidbit. I didn't really realize he was that long of running Batman villain. So we've got Hugo Strange being just awesome. Another event this week in Gotham, Barbara Gordon is cured. She has gotten out of the asylum. She is... Oh, she's not Barbara Gordon? Damn it. Is it... It's Keene?
Keen, I think. Keen or
I thought it was Kane. I don't know. Keene. Anyway, Barbara is cured. She's back. I mean, if you remember the sweet, wholesome Barbara Gordon that existed at the beginning of the season, she was Barbara Gordon then, wasn't she?
No, she's never been Barbara Gordon.
She was with Jim Gordon.
Yeah, but they weren't married.
Oh, they weren't married. Okay.
They were
They were
engaged.
doing it.
And they were engaged.
I think that pretty much constitutes it. Anyway, Barbara is sane. She's back to normal. I'm saying that very, joking, but she's not sane. She definitely still walks on the dark side, but at least she does it with a good purpose now. I don't know. She's trying to help out Jim, and we'll see. I think she's very mentally disturbed, honestly, and it's going to end badly eventually. But at least right now she's playing nice. So until she just continues not to get what she wants, and then I'm sure she'll snap. But also we see that Jim is back on and he has been since the last episode, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. He is back working the Wayne murder. He has refused his job back until he completes it, and I don't know how Jim is going to survive. He's not a cop. He has no money. He's not rich. The only alternative is that Bruce is going to support him, and I don't remember them discussing that at all. But will he be on the Wayne payroll? Probably not, because I think Jim's the kind of guy who, he doesn't want to necessarily corrupt his thought process or have any bias when he's trying to solve this murder. So if he was being paid by Bruce, I would think that would create a little bit of bias, an eagerness to complete the task, and maybe it just can't be completed. I don't know, but time will tell, and the next time we see Gotham, Jim will be a very frail, skinny version of himself. I've seen it. So that wraps up Gotham, except for the DC TV secrets. And this is where it gets really interesting. So I didn't go into a whole lot of detail because pretty much the coolest parts of this episode are about to be talked about in the DC TV secrets. And since this is the first one we're doing for this particular show, you can go to DCComics.com and you can look under news for fans. And after each and every show, they'll throw up some information that maybe fans did or didn't see, and they call them DC TV secrets. And if you use Twitter, you're encouraged to tweet with the hashtag DCTV secrets if you see anything that they didn't mention. So we're going to jump right into it, and the title of tonight's secret is The Angel of Death has, I thought it should be hath cometh, but it's has cometh. And they're talking about, it wasn't tonight, but it says, tonight solidified with us the criminal genius of Hugo Strange. It's become clear that he's not only creating many of Gotham's future villains, but his responsibility in the murders of Bruce's parents is the catalyst that will eventually give birth to the Batman. In the closing minutes of the episode, we see Hugo's most recent reanimation test subject, Jeezy Pete's, known to us only as Patient 44. He springs to life and starts attacking medical staff in the room using precise and calculated martial arts. As the bodies fly, Patient 44 is revealed to be Theo Galavan, resurrected from the dead and speaking in a strange, almost biblical dialect. Just as he takes out the last staff member, he triumphantly proclaims Azrael, which we thought was awesome. And now Jim can't be accused of that murder anymore because the dude's alive. Even though he's been brought back from the dead, that would be hard to explain. Azrael is a character that is no stranger in the DC universe, making his first appearance in 1992's Batman Sword of Azrael #1. He is from a group of assassins that were created by the Sacred Order of Saint Dumas to enforce God's will. So these guys think that they are literally enforcing God's will. And obviously that would make them a very powerful force to come in contact with. Two men have taken up the mantle of the fallen angel in the comics, Jean-Paul Valley and Michael Washington Lane. Azrael possesses enhanced strength, speed, agility, reflexes, durability, and stamina. He trained in the mysterious regimen known as the System. His destiny began before birth and consisted of genetic modification and being raised to believe he is an actual angel of vengeance, straight from biblical times. Donning the suit seems to ignite a split personality completely fueled by rage. Azrael as Jean-Paul Valley is best known for his crucial role as Broken, and he's left paralyzed by Bane. Azrael is far more brutal and merciless than Batman, and his increasingly violent methods lead to a power struggle and eventual fallout with the Dark Knight. Over the years, he's continued to make appearances and play roles in many of the DCU's titles and major events, and was recently reintroduced to the Bat Universe in Batman and Robin Eternal, suggesting that Azrael still has an important role to play in Gotham. And what will that role be? I hope it's a little blue guy, like it was in Legacy of Kain. But it's not going to be. So anyway, those are the hashtag DC TV secrets for this week's Gotham. We're going to move on over to this week's DC TV episode of the week, and that is Flash. For so many reasons. They're not all great reasons. I mean, the episode was awesome. I'm not going to lie. It's probably one of my favorite episodes, but it was just, I felt completely let down by it because my theory was not correct. And when I'm not correct, I'm not happy. And so much of the time I'm not happy. I'm not going to say so much of the time I'm not correct, but I will say so much of the time I'm not happy. So yeah, we really got a bomb dropped on us this week. We found out exactly who Zooom is. We found out his story. There's only one secret left. That's a huge secret, but I don't even want to try and guess what the answer to that question is. But so far, the only thing we don't know about what's going on is who the man in the mask is. Pretty much everything else gets revealed in this episode. And if you have not seen the most recent episode of The Flash, you probably don't want to listen to any of this. In fact, you may not want to watch it. Unless you're cool with... I don't know how to describe it without telling you. My God. I don't know. We'll get there. We'll get to it. We'll get to it at the end when we talk about the end of the episode. But to start with, we'll just kind of look at some cool parts of the episode. Cisco's awesome. I can talk about that. Cisco is awesome. He's figuring out how to use his vibe powers. He can open portals with his brain into other worlds. But when he does it, it seems like Zooom can see him or something. He senses it. And so it makes him a little bit leery to do that. But we do get to see a big transformation with Cisco's powers as he is opening his mind to the possibilities, basically. That's kind of what I attribute it to. Alright, so there's nothing else to talk about. We have to go straight to the blunt of it. Straight to the juice of the Newton. So we obviously found out either last episode or a couple of episodes ago that Jay or at least we think Jay, is in fact Zoom. Well, they throw a huge bomb on us this weekend, and they let slip that Jay is in fact not Zoom, so much as Zoom is Jay, or that Jay never really existed. So, when I made my notes today for this episode, I put Jay equals poop on face, because I was enthralled with this character. Like I've always been a fan of DC and DC Universe, but it wasn't until I started to see Jay in live action that I kind of realized what all he embodies, and I really fell in love with the character, even though this is not necessarily the traditional story of how he came to be, or anything about him at all. I thought it was a pretty cool take on the character. Well, now I realize that it's never been Jay. This entire time, it was never Jay. And we'll explain how that works out in their minds as we go along. But I felt a little cheated. I started a character in DC Universe Online. And now, that character was nothing but a ruse. No, my character's Jay Garrick JSA, so he will always be the JSA version. But it is clever what they're doing. I'm not saying that it's not, but this entire time I had what I thought was a pretty solid theory of how this was going to play out. And now it seems like that's not happening whatsoever. So we find out in this episode that Hunter Zolomon did in fact watch, and it's very different. We're going to talk about that in the DC TV Secrets. It's very different than what happened in the comics, but Hunter Zolomon did in fact watch his father kill his mother in front of him. Obviously, that's what I mean by watch. It drove him insane. He ends up becoming a serial killer himself. He kills like 23 people. He's eventually taken away to the insane asylum. They are doing electroshock therapy on him, and that's when that version, or that Earth's Wells creates the disaster that creates at that point. Instead of creating Barry as Flash, it makes Hunter into Zoom. Now, what we're really unclear on at this point still is, did he become a hero first, or was he, at no point a hero, maybe just pretending to be a hero? I don't know. But essentially at that point, Zoom is created, and it's Hunter Zolomon. Now brings in the question of who the heck was Jay Garrick. Basically, they sum that up by saying that that Zoom goes and grabs a past version of himself. So that's what leads me to believe that he had done either some heroing or some pretending to be a hero. So he goes and grabs a past version of himself and convinces this version of himself to go to Earth 1 and pretend to be a hero named Jay Garrick, the Flash, and that eventually he would be being killed by his original self, and that for some reason, because he was a past version of himself, it would just seem, he would just kind of absorb those experiences. I don't even know, which all makes no sense, because if you kill a past version of yourself, aren't you then killing yourself, as we'll find out in Legends of Tomorrow? So there's something I'm missing. There's got to be. I'm going to have to go back and watch that episode, because I really don't understand that. But the Jay that we knew was nothing more than a version of Zoom who agreed to go along with this plot. And so now I feel like I've had my face pooped on. I'm not real sure what that's called. There's got to be a clever name for it. But I'm not thrilled with that, because I really like Jay. And now we have the question of who's still in the mask. We don't know when it's brought up, because in this episode, Barry actually gets to speak to Zoom. I mean, they get to question him. And he asks him, who's in the mask? And his answer is, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. After he had already explained all this stuff about, past versions of himself, time travel, all this stuff that he's been doing to basically set this whole stage for what's happening, he's not going to believe him if he tells him who's in that mask. And that makes me wonder, who the heck could it be? For crying out loud. What wouldn't I believe? Is there a version of him that was good, and that was the original, and that is the Jay Garrick maybe from another Earth? Maybe he went back to get himself one time, and that one wouldn't go along? Maybe it's Wally in the mask? Because he kidnaps Wally in this one, even though for whatever reason Wally doesn't end up finding out everybody's secrets. I don't think he does. Does he? Did you find out about Barry? I don't know. We'll watch that, but we'll watch it again. But the could possibly be an alternate of Wally. I don't know, because what we're about to read here about the DC TV secrets will make that make a little bit more sense. Because in fact, Hunter Zolomon and Wally were very good friends at one point in the comics. So we'll go ahead and do that and see if it sheds any light on the situation. But this Flash you get to see a lot. It is very fulfilling. Let's just say that. I have to say for the writers, it was pretty cool to just go ahead and spill the beans on everything. Like, you don't have that happen too often either. There were a lot of secrets that they could have kept to themselves in that episode, and we would have waited till the next episode or next season even to figure it out, because they had built this plot so well. But they just kind of were like, hey, here's what's going on, guys. Here's what's been happening. What up now? I don't know. But the hashtag DCTV secrets, we're going to go into a little bit about Zoom. Not a whole lot. But it says you don't want to revisit the past. So we did touch on Hunter Zolomon. In fact, we read on this show, a lot about him when he first made his appearance. But it says we touched on Hunter Zolomon's sad history in the comics in a previous installment of DC TV Secrets, but it's worth discussing again given the events of tonight's episode. We witnessed a young Hunter watching his father, James, abuse and then kill his mother, Ashley. In the comics, it's even worse. Hunter's father not only kills his mother, but he's a full-on serial killer. The name Ashley also has a tie to Hunter's comic storyline. It's the name of his eventual wife. However, and they're going to explain this too, Hunter went the other way in the comics. So his dad was a serial killer. It didn't push him to become a serial killer. Well, and it'll say here on the page, Hunter was affected by his past differently than on the show. The comic book Hunter worked to stop people like his father by becoming an FBI agent. Things didn't work out quite so well for him in the television series, where he became a serial killer responsible for 23 murders. Another flip, the Hunter of the comics works with Wally West, and the two were good friends before Hunter became Zoom. For more on Zoom, be sure to check out his DC character page, which you can do. But yeah, and then eventually he thought Wally wasn't doing the best job as the Flash, and that's why he wanted to be the better Flash. Speed plus time equals what's happening exactly is the next one. It says, remember the good old days when the limitation and the rules of the Speed Force were easier to wrap your head around? Barry's developed his powers. He's had to in order to keep Central City safe and sound, and he's become faster. He's discovered new abilities, he ran on water, and he traveled through time. The latter skill has caused some problems, and Zoom proved it's an ability that can be abused. We've heard them talk about speed mirages before, which came up very briefly in this episode, and that's similar to an illusion Barry used in the comics to clone himself so that he could appear to be Barry Allen and the Flash at the same time. Zoom actually cloned himself by making a time remnant version of himself with Jay. The remnant is sort of like a long-lasting speed clone. The next one is different but the same. I love this book. They show a picture of the first issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's beautiful. Cisco reopens the breach in the St. Perez Children's Hospital on our Earth, but in Earth 2, the same location is St. Perez Mental Asylum. St. Perez happens to be a real Catholic saint, but he just happens to have the same surname as legendary artist George Perez. Perez has worked on numerous titles for DC, including Crisis on Infinite Earths, which saw the destruction of the multiverse. Only 5 Earths survived. Let's hope that's not a harbinger of things to come on the Flash. Let's hope it is a harbinger. Let's hope it's Donna Troy. Yeah, George Perez is awesome. No doubt about it. And see, the thing that's really funny is, like, you know, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Everyone in the world that was reading DC Comics at the time was complaining about that. It was awesome. The story was awesome. But beyond that, the argument was that it was just DC trying to fix, you know, all these this multiverse shenanigan that they'd created to explain away different continuities and stuff, which I actually thought was a brilliant idea. And so then they thought it was this huge debacle that they were trying to fix with the Crisis to put the Earths all back into, you know, the basic, you know, they at that point gave it 5 because there would have to be like an Earth 2 for the JSA. They had to keep that going somehow to explain certain changes in continuity up to that point. But what's happened since then? I mean, it was funny because there was a whole subset of fans at the time that thought that was just the fixing of a debacle. But what did they do? They've used that. They expand the multiverse, and then they break it down again. They expand the multiverse, and then they break it down again. It's just a cycle that keeps happening every 10 or 20 years. And it could keep happening for the rest of existence. And it probably will. And right now, it's happening on 52 other Earths at the same time. So it's all got to contract back down into one Earth. And that will be Earth Prime, and I will be the Superman there. Not really. So that's that for the Flash. We have some DC TV secrets here for this week's episode of Legends of Tomorrow. Most of them actually looks like... No, we really don't. We really have one. This episode of Legends Tomorrow was really fun. I have a new worst fear as a result of it, and I will never sleep again. Actually, I think I'm safe. Well, no, I'm not safe. No one's ever safe. You are never, ever safe. You could be wiped from existence at any moment thanks to the Pilgrim. The Pilgrim, when you have done something wrong, finds a young version of you and kills you before you have any significance in this world, and it completely wipes you from the timeline. That's insane. It scares me to death, and it could happen at any moment. If the mic goes quiet, I could have been wiped from existence by the Pilgrim. You don't know. So the theme of this episode is that everybody on the team has been in some way changing the time stream, and I can't really say that I disagree. I mean, look at what they're doing. They are really changing a lot of things in time. And some things just can't be fixed. Or they shouldn't be fixed. You know what I mean? Like Rory talking to himself and kind of showing himself the light. How is that going to change things? He may not even be Kronos anymore. You know, he won't even be there to help with the mission. If his younger self goes down the right path instead of the wrong path. It's unfortunate, but it's true. I don't know. It was fun seeing them as babies. They were cute. In fact, that was the gist of the entire episode. The babies were cute. We were just like, no, look, there's cute babies everywhere. They are very nice. No, it was fun. It was a really fun episode. I thought they did a really good job. I thought Sarah did a good job playing a younger version of herself. Lyda informed me it was just that she had bangs. I sincerely thought she was the greatest actor ever. And it was not just the bangs. But the hashtag DC TV secrets this week for this episode. Says the assassin Pilgrim targets Rip Hunter and his team by going after their younger, more vulnerable selves. They race around the timeline to stop her, and we meet all sorts of familiar faces along the way. As the team tries to keep it a step ahead, they made a new plan to go after Rip and found at least one secret. Would you say that Jerry? I would say that Jerry. It's a G. Gerry. Is that Jerry or Gary? I don't know. Jerry? The reason I say that is because Rip and Snart borrow the newborn Martin Stein from his parents and manage to do so rather easily, by the way, and Rip gives Martin his name in the process. Martin's dad was planning to call him Jerry until Rip suggested Martin. The original name, of course, is in reference to one of Firestorm's co-creators, Jerry Conway. He created the Nuclear Man along with Al Milgrom, in March 1978. The fiery Ronnie Raymond and Martin Stein duo first appeared in Firestorm: The Nuclear Man #1. Conway also worked on titles such as Batman and Justice League of America. So that's why they threw that little nod in there to the name Jerry. So, long story short, though, that I believe they managed to save all of themselves. So that's good. Outside of that, they've completely changed everything about time itself. Feet are now called hands. Hands are now called feet. My elbows are blue. And my shins are purple and gray. And that is all thanks to DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Not really, but, you know, you can't mess with one thing without messing with everything. So that wraps up the DC TV for this week. If you saw a DC TV secret, of course, you can tweet with the hashtag DCTVSecrets. And you can go and look up the hashtag DCTVSecrets if you want to see what everyone else has been posting. That leads us to the end portion of the show where we go over the pull list for DC Comics, which of course can be found on DCComics.com. The pull list for this week, all in stores, April 27th. The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race #4, Batman #51, and Justice League #49. Those are the picks for the week. So enjoy. Thank you guys for joining us in this week's DCU Tonight. It's been a blast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at @Var_Nation to find out when showtimes will be. Please subscribe to Var Nation. That's the channel that supports us. If you can support them, please do so by clicking on that support button on the front page of the, well, it would be the front page, wouldn't it? The home page? Yeah. Or subscribe. Share and like the video once it's up on YouTube. It will be there probably within about 2 hours. Be sure, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it now because I didn't say anything throughout the entire show. Be sure to follow Earth 8 on Twitter. They're getting ready to do another community event coming up in May, I believe. And so details for that you can find right here. We will announce it as soon as we know it. Here on DCU Tonight or just on Var Nation. You can also follow them at Earth 8 on Twitter. So that wraps up the show. Thanks again, guys. For Hippolyta Kent, this is Rock Var saying peace out.